Part 3. I'm going to read 1 Kings 11, and I'm going to start at verse number 1. And this is all about King Solomon. King Solomon, however, loved, then let me also say this is the NIV version. I'm reading it in NIV because it's the simplicity of the wording. King Solomon, however, loved many foreign women besides Pharaoh's daughter, Moabites, Ammonites, Edomites, Sidonians, and Hittites. They were from nations about which the Lord had told the Israelites. So he didn't just say it to Solomon. It was a thing for the people of God. This is the point I want to make. Right there. Stick a pin in it, as they say. You must not intermarry with them, because they will surely turn your hearts after their gods. Nevertheless, Solomon held fast to them in love. Nevertheless, he had 700 wives of royal birth and 300 concubines, and his wives led him astray. As Solomon grew old, his wives turned his heart after other gods, and his heart was not fully devoted to the Lord his God, as the heart of his father David had been. He followed Ashtoreth, the goddess of the Sidonians, and Molech, the detestable god of the Ammonites. So Solomon did evil in the eyes of the Lord. He did not follow the Lord completely as David his father had done. On a hill east of Jerusalem, Solomon built a high place for Chemosh, the detestable god of Moab, and for Molech, the detestable god of the Ammonites. He did the same for all his foreign wives who burned incense and offered sacrifices to their gods. The Lord became angry with Solomon because his heart had turned away from the Lord, the God of Israel, who had appeared to him twice. Although he had forbidden Solomon to follow other gods, Solomon did not keep the Lord's command. So the Lord said to Solomon, "Since this is your attitude, and you have not kept my covenant and my decrees, which I commanded you, I will most certainly tear the kingdom away from you and give it to one of your subordinates." And a subordinate is somebody who's under you. So somebody who's under you is going to take your position. Nevertheless, for the sake of David, your father, I will not do it during your lifetime. Grace. I will tear it out of the hand of your son. Wow. Yet I will not tear the whole kingdom from him, but will give him one tribe for the sake of David, my servant, and for the sake of Jerusalem, which I have chosen. Because of Solomon's disobedience, the children of Israel became split, the north and south. One went one way and another group went another way. I believe it was the tribe of Benjamin and the Levites went one way, and all the rest of the 10 went the other way. Then the Lord raised up against Solomon, this is verse number 14, an adversary, Hadad the Edomite, from the royal line of Edom. And if you want to read it again, keep going, because you get to see all of these people that God himself raised up against him. Now, what stuck to my mind was two things. God had to raise up enemies, because Solomon was so blessed, he had no enemies. He had none. God had blessed him so that he had no enemies whatsoever. And as I stated in the beginning, the very first, I believe it's first 2 chapters, when he said that this thing that God had given to the people of Israel, his people, was to not marry outside of their own kind, because it would cause their hearts to turn from God. It wasn't out of any hatred of black people or hatred of Spanish people or hatred of anything. It's because they worshiped other gods. It had nothing to do with people's skin color and tone. Unlike our society, where somebody's too dark, or they're too brown, or they're not pretty, they're not cute, they're not this and not that, they don't have money, they do have money. God is saying, these people worship idols, and they don't worship me. They're unequally yoked with you spiritually, emotionally, mentally. Your goals, your attributes are completely different from theirs. But that's what draws us to them, because of the differences, not realizing that those differences need to stay. They need to stay. They need to stay different, and they need to stay separate. Let me go back to my lesson, because this was a really good point. So we know that just having wisdom isn't going to cut it. We need understanding. What do we need understanding of? We need it of life and our relationship of God. Life, liberty, and Jesus Christ. Just having knowledge isn't going to cut it. Just having wisdom isn't going to cut it. We need understanding so that we can grasp hold of our own weaknesses and God's grace, and receiving the balance to keep us stable. So what would you say is the cause of Solomon's fall into blatant disobedience? Like I just said, it was lust. It causes a person to be prideful and arrogant. It makes people to only think of themselves and to rebel against the knowledge of God. Solomon knew who God was. He knew, but he was so full of pride in his position and in his ability and his capabilities that he felt like the law did not apply to him. It applied to the children of Israel. Now that I'm king, that means I can do anything I want. I have spoken to God himself twice. I'm able to do what y'all are not able to do. And he soon found out that that is not true. Lust causes the pride of life, the desires of the flesh and the eyes to worldly pride rather than to God. It causes self-exaltation. Lust puts human wants above God's law. It treats personal pleasure as more important than honoring the Creator. Deception is very deceptive. It tricks people into thinking they can sin without bad results. This shows a proud heart that ignores God's judgment. Understanding is the sustainer of life, meaning knowing something, having the wisdom of it, means nothing if you don't understand your consequence and your relation to or place in a thing. Lust made Solomon lose track of the fact that his position as king over God's people was not a license to do anything he wants. He had authority that was given to him, delegated to him from God. It was not his authority, it was a gift. The authority was not his. Even when God pronounced judgment against him, he reminded him, listen, I gave this throne to your descendants and to your father and to your forefathers. I gave that to them. You don't get to take what I gave you and then use it however you want to use it and then act like I can't say anything to you. That is the pride of life. We feel like, and it's so bad now that it's even, you have people who don't even have much walking in a sense of pride. Like, I don't have to answer to you because I can put on this garment of pride, and now I'm walking as if nobody can touch me. Let me keep going because I don't want to lose my spot. The throne is God's to give and take away. He understood that in the beginning. Solomon understood that in the beginning, but over time he lost focus. Remember when Solomon first came into the kingdom, he was a young man, and the Lord came to him in a dream. And he asked Solomon, what would you have me to give to you? And Solomon said, I need wisdom to know how to lead your people. He forgot that you are leading a people. You can't do anything you want. In your family, you are leading people. You cannot do anything you want. You have a responsibility to show wisdom, knowledge and understanding